Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this morning for another review. This is an album review that came out last night at midnight. This is for Janelle Monae's new album, The Age of Pleasure, that I got done listening to for her fourth studio album. I never really got into most of her discography, but I heard her stardom to her career was actually pretty well done and pretty much well executed with her songs she was coming up with. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the fourth album by her, The Age of Pleasure by Janelle Monae, and let you know my thoughts on it. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with Float featuring Swen Cootie and Egypt 80. Honestly, it was okay. It wasn't amazing to start the album, but it was an okay start. I'm in the middle with this track, but I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Champagne Shit was disappointing, unfortunately. I just wasn't feeling for how the overall vibe was. And I know this is meant to be a summer album to lay back and go jump in a pool and have fun and all that, which I understand what she was trying to go for with this album, but there are certain songs that don't work with this album. So Champagne Shit is a slight disappointing track, 2.5 out of 5. Black Sugar Beach, I meant to say. I was saying it wrong. Please forgive me. Okay track. It's an interlude. It's not really much of a song, but it's the outro to the Champagne Shit song. It has that in the background, the melody for it. So I think it's okay of an interlude. So 3 out of 5. Phenomenal featuring Doshi. Disappointing as well. I wasn't feeling for this one. I just the melody didn't really came to my liking or whatever is what I'm trying to say. It didn't really resonate with me in the way that makes me want to like it. So 2.5 out of 5. Hot, Haute, if I'm pronouncing it right. This song was really bad. I was really disappointed with this track. 2 out of 5 for this one. I mean, there's some sections that do all right, but it's mostly the execution of how Janelle Monae is singing it. So 2 out of 5. Ooh La La featuring Grace Jones. Average interlude. It's only 36 seconds, so you're not in for much of a track, but I'd give it a 3.5. 3.5 out of 5. Lipstick Lover was probably one of the stronger tracks in my opinion. I wouldn't say it's my favorite song, but it did all right for what it went for. This is where the album starts to get a little bit better, but still, those three songs are kind of going to ruin the album's reception, in my personal opinion. So, 4.5 out of 5 for Lipstick Lover. I still think it's a pretty strong track in its own way. I wouldn't say it's the best song, but it did good in its own way. The Rush featuring Nia Long and Amari. Okay track. Amari's verse or whatever. Excuse me. Excuse me, guys. My throat was really had some phlegm in it. It was kind of gross. But yeah, sorry that my voice was breaking up. It just shit happens, I guess. But please forgive me on doing that. It's gonna get a 3 out of 5 for The Rush with Nia Long and Amari. I just wasn't feeling for it too much, but I think I'm in the middle with this one. The French 75 featuring Sister Nancy is another interlude. It's not much of an interlude in my personal opinion, but I think it's decent for what it went for. So 4 out of 5. Water Slide was okay. There were some moments I liked and some moments I didn't. Some of the lyrics are okay with Janelle Monae singing in it, but it's on the safe side with me with this track, so 3 out of 5. No Better featuring CK, Swen Cootie, and Egypt 80 from the first song. Swen Cootie and Egypt 80 were in the first track, Float, and I think this was another solid track in my personal opinion. I wouldn't say the best song, but it is a pretty strong track and it's one of the highlights for this album. So No Better's getting a 4.5 out of 5. Paid in Pleasure is decent. Not really something I like, but I think it's good in its own way, but it's still a decent track because there's certain sections that kind of don't do very well, but most of the track, majority of it is all right, but it's only a minute and 46 seconds, so you're not in for a long track. So 4 out of 5. Only Have Eyes for Two, you know, I think is a solid track in its own way. It's another one of the strong tracks in my personal opinion, so 4.5 out of 5. And finally, we get to A Dry Red, which is the closing track. And I think this was a solid one too. It's only not even 2 minutes. It's close to 2 minutes, but it's not. It's like a minute and 51 seconds. But I think the track did all right in its own way. So 4.5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I think Janelle Monae's The Age of Pleasure album was disappointing. I mean, it's not the worst album this year, but 3 songs kind of ruined this album, in my personal opinion, which is Champagne Shit, Phenomenal, and Hot. Hot being the worst one, in my personal opinion. So, for an overall score for me, I'm giving Janelle Monae's The Age of Pleasure album a 5.5 out of 10. It was slightly disappointing. There are some strong tracks. I think the second half picks it up a bit, but it's still, reception-wise, 3 tracks kind of ruined this album, and I had to give it the rating it needed, unfortunately, which, I mean, she's talented, but yeah, it's just, when she does the rap stuff, it just doesn't work, in my opinion. But still, I know she was going for like this summer vibe kind of album, which I understand that because it is summer after all, but still, the execution of this album didn't land for me in a good way. So 3 songs kind of ruin it, but the rest of the tracks, average, okay, and decent, and all right. So 5.5 out of 10 for Janelle Monae, The Age of Pleasure album. Thank you guys for watching.